Welcome back to episode 17 of the Roll the Tape podcast. I'm Jacksen White alongside
Aidan McNally
and Jalen McKissick.
So today we're going to be recapping some of the biggest signings of NFL free agency that just started a few days ago. Who are our favorite signings in free agency, winners and losers, and where do we think some of the remaining free agents will go?
In the past couple weeks, we've had some NBA start bench cut for you guys, but in honor of the NFL offseason and all the craziness that has happened the past couple days, we're going to have an NFL start bench cut to end off the episode.
And make sure you follow us on all our socials, daily videos for your viewing pleasure, and make sure you follow the Twitter for all of the information about when the episode's coming out or if it'll ever be delayed.
So now let's roll the tape. Episode 17 is now underway. Now let's get right into it. Biggest free agent signings here. And, well, I think the biggest free agent signing of really free agency as a whole has to be quarterback Kirk Cousins signing a 4-year, $180 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. What does this mean for the Falcons' future going forward?
It hopefully means a playoff run. I think that's their whole goal. They have the offense to do it. Their defense is solid enough. They just had instability at quarterback for the past, ever since really Matt Ryan left. Ever since Matt Ryan left, it's been not stable at the position, and Kirk Cousins does bring that as long as he's healthy off of that Achilles tear.
I think for the future of the Falcons, I don't know. In my opinion, 4 years is kind of a long time for a 33-year-old quarterback who just came off of an Achilles tear. Is it a good signing? Absolutely. I just don't know if the 4-year, $180 million metric is good for them. It's a lot of money that you're pouring into a quarterback. Yes, this guy does have top 10 upside when he's good, and maybe even top 5, you could say, maybe. But I think it's a great signing for them as a player. It's just the 4-year 180 kind of throws me off a little bit. But he will work in the system. You give him a good defense. You give him a, almost top 10 offensive line, if not top 10 offensive line. You give him Drake London, Bijan, Kyle Pitts. They just picked up Darnell Mooney in free agency as well. So they're definitely giving him options to build around him, and that's pretty much what they did in Minnesota with Jordan Addison and the number one receiver in the league, Justin Jefferson. So I think it'll be interesting. I think this definitely propels them as probably one of the better teams in their division, if not the best team. I think with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins who has that top 10 upside, this should have, let them have this weak division on lock. But like Jalen said, the unstableness, I don't know if that's a word, they've had in the quarterback position ever since Matt Ryan left, it's terrible. And now that they finally have a good quarterback, I think it'll really show levels about how they were really only a good quarterback away from being this solid team the whole time.
Well, with this, you look at it, Kirk Cousins, 4 years, $180 million. Obviously, it comes down to it, well, if you're going to get a quarterback in free agency, you're probably going to have to pay top dollar. It doesn't matter necessarily how much he's necessarily worth, but in free agency, you're probably going to have to overpay for anyone you sign. That's just how it goes. And, the Falcons think they're a quarterback away, and I'd have to say, yeah. I really think this Falcons team has a lot of similarities to the Rams a few years ago with Matt Stafford. Stafford coming in, I believe he only had no playoff wins. And Cousins only has one. So they're pretty equal in that remark. And Cousins, like you said, Aidan, was a fringe top 10 guy, and even at some point this season was an MVP talk. Yeah. So Kirk Cousins is an elite quarterback, and I don't think he's ever had necessarily the weapons that Atlanta has. Obviously, yeah, he had Justin Jefferson and Addison as well.
And also had T.J. Hawkinson. I forgot about him too.
Yeah, really good weapons. But the offensive line in Atlanta is something that I really think about. A really good run blocking offensive line. And Kirk Cousins has never played with a running back who is to the level of a Bijan Robinson. Obviously, Dalvin Cook was very good in Minnesota, don't get me wrong, but Robinson is just miles ahead of Dalvin Cook at any point in Cook's career. That's how I feel.
I agree.
He's in a different atmosphere to Cook. So I like that. But I don't know, just coming off an Achilles tear. Obviously, Achilles tears are different than they were 15 years ago. Usually after Achilles tear, you don't come back. Mm-hmm. Now you do, but it's still iffy. I would say Kirk Cousins now is my favorite to win Comeback Player of the Year going to Atlanta. and I think that division is almost theirs. The only team that could maybe give them a run for their money is Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
But Tampa Bay, even though they've re-signed a lot of people, have lost some people too, and they haven't gone out and got anyone. So definitely would be the kind of the craziest signing of free agency so far. But talking about a team I just mentioned, Tampa Bay did re-sign Baker Mayfield to a 3-year, $100 million deal. So Baker Mayfield basically gets upwards towards $33 million a year for the next 3 seasons. Thoughts on Baker Mayfield and the Bucs?
I think this deal gives him the confidence that he's missed the past couple years. I mean, Oklahoma quarterbacks, obviously Oklahoma is just insane at producing quarterbacks, and Baker Mayfield probably doesn't have the improv that he did at Oklahoma anymore, and the ability to escape the pocket like he did at Oklahoma. But I think that this deal, obviously last year was a nightmare for Mayfield. Bouncing back, making the playoffs, beating the Eagles in the playoffs, and then getting this 3-year, $100 million contract will boost his confidence a lot. And I think we're going to get some of that Oklahoma Baker Mayfield back a little bit. Now, are they going to be a good team overall with Baker Mayfield? I think they'll improve a little bit. It's Baker Mayfield's, second year in this system. He's going to be here for a while, obviously the next 3 years. So I think by the end of this 3-year contract that Baker Mayfield has signed, I think he will improve a lot, get that confidence back like he had earlier in his career with Oklahoma and even his rookie year in Cleveland. And I think the Bucs have got a pretty good quarterback here for a decent price as well.
Yeah, I think Baker coming back to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers definitely makes them, I think, hopefully the betting favorite to win the NFC South.
No.
You don't think so?
Falcons.
I think Tampa Bay still has a little bit of an edge.
I think the Falcons have.
I think
all the edge
experience wise.
I mean,
no,
I don't
you guys
think
are missing out on the Panthers. They just traded for Deontay
Okay,
Johnson.
Oh my goodness.
the Panthers should be removed to the G League.
Honestly,
The
I
XFL
like I like the Panthers roster right now more than I like the Saints roster.
Wow, that's
It's not crazy to say that.
No, yes, it is.
Is it?
The Panthers have so many holes.
I like the Panthers.
the Saints have a lot of holes too. Don't
They
get
just
me
They
wrong.
have a lot of holes.
Yeah,
and no
but-
cups.
yeah,
and no
but-
cap space.
The Panthers signed Robert Hunt and traded for Deontay Johnson, and that makes them like a
Oh, yeah, and traded away their best defender.
and
they've
traded
had
away
years.
Brian
I
Burns.
don't know. Me personally, don't. Hey, I'm saying it right here.
2 first
I'm saying-
last year
I'm
for
s-
Brian Burns. Nah,
I'm
we
saying
want
it
2
right
seconds
here.
this year.
Stamp it down right here. The Panthers will have a better record than the Saints next year.
Okay, well, we'll look back at that then. But I would say that the Falcons are the favorite.
Yeah, I
But-
agree.
Moving along now to another quarterback who signed with a new team, a quarterback who's a Super Bowl champion, a quarterback who will be a future Hall of Famer. Russell Wilson has signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. What did you say earlier, Aidan? Steelers Nation, let's
Weld. Steelers Nation, let's weld.
to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract, which is the minimum for a quarterback. And well, obviously you're thinking, Wilson should be getting more than that. Well, he's getting paid $40 million by the Denver Broncos this season, so he can sign that cheap deal. And now with Pittsburgh getting Russell Wilson, obviously Wilson's going to come in as the starter. Kenny Pickett's
hold on now. Kenny Pickett could be the
2
mouth.
gloves ain't going to do
No.
nothing.
You know-
Wilson's going to be the
You never
starter.
know.
Kenny Pickett is the reason they went out and got Russell Wilson.
Kenny Pickett can really come in. Maybe he has like a great offseason, comes in motivated, and wins the offseason training camp. Wins the starting quarterback
He's
job.
going to come in all right. So, yeah, I mean, Russell Wilson going to the Seahawks, not the Seahawks, the Steelers. And this signing here kind of just tells me 9-7, 9-8. This is just a 9-8 signing to me. Obviously, I like Russell Wilson. I think he's better than people make it out to be.
Jimmy Garoppolo just got released, by the way.
He's not going
Little
anywhere. He's
update.
terrible. But Wilson, I'd say he probably. I mean, towards the end of the year at Denver, whenever they were winning in that little stretch before he got benched out of nowhere, I mean, he was playing good football. Obviously, the yards weren't there, but honestly, if you look at Russell Wilson's career, the yards have never been there. Yeah. He's had maybe 4,000 yards 6-7 times, but it's been low 4,000. So he's never been close to that 5,000 mark, which even though 4,000 is categorized as an elite year. In quarterbacks, even though 5,000 in my mind is elite. But Wilson going out of Seattle, obviously not Seattle, I keep on saying that. Going to Pittsburgh, they did just trade away their receiver to the Panthers, which, shout out Panthers. But just this signing here, I do think Wilson's going to do good in Pittsburgh, but their weapons is something that I question. And that's kind of my question marks with Wilson going there.
I think this signing right here solidifies Mike Tomlin's winning record. He's going to have it forever. Until he retires, he's never going to have a losing season.
And he's going to have, what, one Super Bowl?
But hey, never a losing season, though. That's impressive. You can't tell me that's not impressive.
Mike Tomlin, high key, is the equivalent of Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers? Hey, Doc Rivers never had a losing season, but he can't win the finals. Well, he won one, but he got carried to that one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he also had one of the
Mike Tomlin got carried to the Super Bowl.
That's true. But he's never had a losing season, though. And that's why he's never been fired. But Russell Wilson coming here, solid defense still. You lose Deontay Johnson, but then again, you still have George Pickens. And then who's the wide receiver 2 now? Sky Moore?
I don't know, man. That's my question. I have no clue.
It's going to be
it's the one dude out of like Memphis, Calvin Austin.
I think so, yeah.
I don't know
I forget.
I couldn't name it.
All I know is George Pickens season.
All I know is George Pickens and Calvin
Austin. Austin is the name that we're looking for.
Yeah, I think it is Calvin. It's like Calvin Austin III.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you still have Freiermuth. The offensive line is decent to good.
I don't know. This team to me is still not that good.
No, not
and
for sure.
They need to get some weapons. Because if they don't get weapons, I mean, people are going to blame Russ again. Well, I mean,
I think they go out and get weapons in the draft, or
they probably draft a weapon.
I mean, if they get a really good receiver in the draft, I mean, yeah. But right now, as it looks, without the draft, just looking at it, if week 1 started right now,
9-8.
I don't. I mean, yeah, probably 9-8, because just the weapons really concerns me with that.
The defense will always keep them in games, though, just like the last 2-3 years.
Yeah, I mean, if you have T.J. Watt on defense, you're going to win some games.
I mean, the whole thing with the Steelers is they've always missed consistent quarterback play ever since Ben Roethlisberger left, and I
even
think,
necessarily with Ben's last few years, even though he had good seasons, he was very inconsistent when it comes to playoff time.
And my thoughts on this Russell Wilson signing, I mean, there's nothing to lose. You're signing that. You're only paying him $1 million of this dude's contract.
There's nothing to lose. It's kind of like Baker Mayfield last year going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
kind of a prove deal.
He's going to be the starter. The issue I have with Russell Wilson, and you see this with a lot of guys, is Russell Wilson. He spent how many years with the Seahawks? Like 11 years with the Seahawks. Goes to Denver. He's stuck in that Seattle scheme with Pete Carroll. They're locked in for a decade. He goes to Denver Broncos. He goes to Denver and just stinks it up. I think the issue.
Stink it up?
I think the issue with Russell Wilson is that he was just too used to that Seattle scheme, and going just a new atmosphere in the NFL that he went to really kind of messed with him. I think another player I want to compare to Russell Wilson in this situation. Different sport, but Damian Lillard, right? He spent a decade with Portland, goes over to Milwaukee, and he's shooting a career low. I think it's just kind of the change of you know what I mean, like the change of scenery, atmosphere, a whole new team, new teammates, and everything after you spend a decade with that team. I think that does mess with Russell Wilson a little bit. Now, since he already had that one little stint with the Broncos where he didn't play well, I think he probably knows what to expect a little bit more after signing with the Steelers and going into a new team. Will he play much better? I don't know. I mean, this is like a 34-year-old, 33-year-old quarterback going into an offense that has been god-awful for the last couple years.
Hey, Matt Canada's gone, though.
Matt Canada is gone. But, I mean, he's going into an offense whose, number one weapon is George Pickens. Obviously, they're going to do more in free agency and the draft, but it's not looking too great for the Steelers offense. I don't think this is any league-shattering move. I don't think Russell Wilson has the same value as he did in his last years with Seattle, but I still think this is a upgrade for the Pittsburgh Steelers for sure. I do think they will play better with Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's a quarterback that makes the guys around him better, and if they go out and get some weapons, whether that be in free agency or the draft, and their defense keeps keeping them in games, I think this is a team that you got to watch out for, not to win the AFC North, but to put up a little fight for sure.
Yeah, no, moving along now to a few other quarterbacks that have been signed, or just touch on them. Gardner Minshew leaving the Indianapolis Colts, going to the Las Vegas Raiders on a 2-year, $25 million deal. So I would assume Minshew will be the starter going forward, at least this season, with the Las Vegas unless, he loses the quarterback battle to Aidan McConnell. Jameis Winston goes to the Browns to be a backup on a 1-year, $4 million deal. Tyrod Taylor signs with the Jets on a 2-year deal. Sam Darnold goes to the Vikings on a 1-year deal. And here, as we're going to touch on this one last name, Sam Darnold to the Vikings is interesting because Cousins is now in Atlanta, so meaning the quarterback spot in Minnesota is wide open. Do you guys think Sam Darnold has a legitimate chance to be the day one starter for the Vikings next year?
I don't know. I really don't. I think the Vikings are in an interesting stage where you have a superstar wide receiver in his prime, and I don't think the Vikings can waste that. I really don't. I think that a good move for them would be trading up in the draft and maybe taking a quarterback. I don't know what that'd be. But Sam Darnold, for right now, he's shown that he's not good. He's had 3 chances: one in New York, one in Carolina, and one in San Francisco.
Did he
lost
necessarily have a
he's benched behind Brock
chance
Purdy
in San Fran?
But he's benched behind Brock Purdy for a reason.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Sam Darnold is on his last breath when it comes to reviving his career. Could he turn out like a Baker Mayfield? Yeah, but chances are very slim. Just the state that this Minnesota Vikings offense is in, I don't think you can really go this next year with Sam Darnold as your starter.
Yeah, me either. I think Sam Darnold being your starting quarterback doesn't put you into any type of playoff contention.
It doesn't move me at all.
It doesn't move me at all.
He's just a bridge quarterback.
I would hope so. For Justin Jefferson's sake, he apparently I saw a report that he turned down a contract extension.
For $35 million a year.
Yeah, something
crazy.
like that. If you have your quarterback, not the quarterback, your star wide receiver turning down that much money, that's a bad sign.
The future for Minnesota, and we'll touch on this probably more next week, is very uncertain after Kirk Cousins is not there. Because, they just don't really have a direction. And I don't know. But moving along now to running backs, a position that was kind of just, what's the word that I'm looking for here? Running backs were kind of, the market was not there for running backs this past season. And, a lot were available in free agency. And let's just start at the top of the list. Saquon Barkley was a free agent this year and is leaving the New York Giants. He will now join the Philadelphia Eagles on a 3-year, $37 million deal. And I would say this is probably the most important running back free agent signing to me because the Eagles are such a good team. They have a great offensive line, and DeAndre Swift, who I don't even think is in the same realm as Saquon Barkley, looked really good there this season. Obviously, he had moments where he didn't, but he looked like an all-pro at some points too. So Barkley in this offense just means it's going to be scary for some teams in the NFC next season.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think obviously it's an upgrade over DeAndre Swift. I don't know about pass catch. Would you say Saquon's better pass catcher?
I would say Swift's probably better, but Barkley did catch some passes last year.
He did catch some passes last year, but of course, being an actual running back wise, Saquon's levels above DeAndre Swift. The Eagles losing out on Jason Kelce might affect them a little bit. That's a dude that's been there for 10 plus years.
He was like the soul of the line.
He was the soul of the offensive line. He made all the calls, all the changes to the offensive line, the fronts and everything. That might change up a couple of things, but the rest of the offensive line is still there. So hopefully they can, keep some type of continuity without Kelce. But I think just with Saquon and Jalen Hurts in the same backfield, that dynamic of read option RPO that they'll be able to run next year will be deadly, especially with Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown still on the outside. That's a deadly offense if they can get it all together.
Yeah. I think this Saquon signing, almost locks the Eagles as NFC East champions. I think what we saw last year was with the Eagles was just utter dominance. I know the Cowboys were in there for a little bit, and the thing with the Cowboys is they've done literally nothing this free agency. They haven't re-signed anyone. They haven't signed anyone. But the Eagles are making these moves.
They did re-sign their long snapper.
Oh shoot, my bad.
God.
They made a big social post about that. I'm like, oh my god.
But yeah, I think the Giants were 31st in run block win percentage, and the Eagles were like top 5. And just to have Saquon Barkley in that backfield, obviously that's going to take a dip with Kelce gone, but That is drastic.
I
That
mean,
is that is a
yeah.
big change. And Saquon Barkley will be an 1,000-yard rusher with that offensive line because DeAndre Swift was.
Yeah.
And so I think
I
this
wouldn't
is
be
huge.
surprised if he goes out and rushes for like 1,500 yards. I mean,
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if he gets hurt week 1.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the game you play with Saquon Barkley. Now moving along now to the rushing champ just 2 years ago, Josh Jacobs is on a new team. He signed with the Green Bay Packers on a 4-year, $48 million deal, which was the biggest running back contract of the week. And, Josh Jacobs going to the Packers, kind of a shocker. I mean, the Packers had Aaron Jones, who they released after signing Josh Jacobs, but I didn't think Jacobs would leave Vegas, so I'm definitely surprised on that one.
I think Josh Jacobs leaving Vegas was definitely in the cards, but I didn't know it was actually going to happen. This was such a weird signing at first because I don't know why the Packers would be paying Aaron Jones and Josh Jacobs, and then after they released Aaron Jones, this signing made more sense. For the Packers, this is probably the best running back they could get on the market with Josh Jacobs' scheme fit. He does exactly what you need to do. He's a 5 yards per run guy who can catch a few, passes out of the backfield. He does everything Aaron Jones can, but better, except for maybe in the receiving game. But running back wise, I think he doesn't clear Aaron Jones in every aspect, but he's definitely better than Aaron Jones in every aspect besides receiving. But this was a perfect scheme fit. I just don't know why they went out and, spent $48 million on a position that they probably could have had for Aaron Jones with a little bit cheaper money. I know Aaron Jones has been injury prone like the last few years, but I don't know. I'm just a little confused on why they would spend $48 million here than on a wide receiver where their wide receiver 1 is an injured Christian Watson, or like an offensive line since they just released David Bakhtiari and traded John Runyon. But either way, this is a great fit for them. If we're just solely talking off of Josh Jacobs going to the Packers, it's just a little confusing. It was a little confusing when I saw it for sure.
This is definitely a great signing. I mean, we're only 1 year removed from Josh Jacobs having 1,600 yards on the ground, averaging 5 yards a carry. And then if you look at the Packers' 2 playoff games, one against the Packers and the one against the Niners, their primary thing was their primary game plan was the run game. Aaron Jones was getting a whole bunch of carries, and it was working. He was getting 4 or 5 yards a pop, especially against the Dallas game.
Yeah, I mean,
He
it
was running all
makes
over.
Green Bay a legitimate contender to me.
You think so?
To me,
So you think Jordan Love is a contender starting quarterback?
Yeah.
Quarterback?
Jordan Love
Already?
yeah.
I agree.
I would say.
And maybe not Super Bowl winning. But
I
think
don't know
Super Bowl
about
winning.
Super Bowl winning, but I mean, if he continues to improve like he did last year every game,
So when you say contender, you mean Super Bowl or playoff?
well, they're already a playoff contender last year.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true.
I mean, I would not be surprised in the next 2 years if the Packers could be a Super Bowl contender. I don't think they're there yet, but I think they're close.
I think they still need. I think they need Christian Watson to show a little bit more.
Yeah,
they're a wide
agree.
receiver away. I don't know. Here's the thing with
Their
the Packers
defense is what they need to improve on my.
their
part.
defense, their secondary
Their
needs to be
secondary's
patched
pretty
up. I know
bad.
Xavier McKinney just signed there,
Mm-hmm.
but Jair Alexander's still there, but he's kind of been hurt. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're a wide receiver and an offensive lineman or 2 away from seriously taking that leap to being a next tier team.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be scary in that division next year. Moving along now to one of my favorite signings of free agency, just as a fan of the league, Derrick Henry signing to the Baltimore Ravens on a 2-year, $16 million deal. And I talked about this a few months ago whenever I was making the What's Next for the Ravens video. I said they could maybe go out and get a guy like a Derrick Henry. Someone in the comments said, "Oh, no, they don't need Henry." Look who was right. But yeah, Derrick Henry now going to the Ravens, and this
Hey,
one
we should at that guy.
Yeah.
At him.
Hey, buddy. But this one's big. I really do think this is big because even though the Ravens have been such a great running team, they've never necessarily had an elite running back next to Lamar Jackson. I would say the best running back they've had is whenever Mark Ingram had that really good year, and I think whenever what's-his-name won MVP.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's first MVP. So I would say that's the best running back. But Derrick Henry brings just a whole nother – I mean, you could know Derrick Henry's going to run, and there's a chance you can't stop it. So him in that offense is going to be scary. I still think Baltimore needs to do a little bit more. They need to go get another receiver in my eyes. But I would say Derrick Henry definitely helps them improve their championship odds.
Definitely creates the best backfield in the league. or at least the most scariest backfield in the league. I mean, Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry read option is going to feed generations.
Yeah.
Because either player gets the ball, they can get 5 yards.
Yeah.
Lamar can get 5 yards or break away for a 30-yard play. Derrick Henry probably can't explode for a 30-yard play anymore as much as he should he could have back in the day. But he can still give you 10 yards just off of pure strength alone, being able to carry people 3 to 4 yards, not being able to be brought down. So you being able to have that kind of tough runner in Derrick Henry with also having the elusive runner in Lamar Jackson just creates the most dynamic backfield in the league.
Yeah. I mean, if you
Besides Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson.
Well, that remains to be seen.
I think if you put these two together in 2019, this is a Madden.
In 2019, my.
This is a Madden Ultimate Team squad, but in 2023, it's a little bit different. Lamar Jackson's still Lamar Jackson. He just won MVP. He's not going to be any different. Derrick Henry is hitting that back end of his career where he's starting to get slower. His strength and his power will still remain the same, but his explosiveness is starting to, wear down a little bit. For the money that they paid, 2 years, $16 million, this is probably the best running back signing out of all the running backs that have been signed.
Yeah, getting Derrick Henry for $8 million years.
2 years, 16 is amazing, especially for how much he's going to produce for the Ravens in such a run-heavy offense. And it's not like Derrick Henry, he's 29. He, has foot injury issues. It's still Derrick Henry. It doesn't matter. Like Jackson said, you can know what he's going to do, where he's going to run, and he will still pick up, a first down. He's a 3-down. He's still a 3-down back in my eyes. And I think this signing fills a gap that has been missed ever since that Mark Ingram season. You have J.K. Dobbins, who's injured, who's also a free agent this year. You have Gus Edwards, but that's Gus Edwards.
He just signed with the Chargers, though.
Oh.
Gus Edwards.
Gus Edwards just did?
Well, that was a couple days ago.
Oh, shoot.
I think
Never mind. So they don't
have any running backs.
They
have the one running back. What's his name? Mitchell.
Yeah, the guy who kind of busted out a little bit last year.
Yeah, but then he tore his ACL too.
Yeah. So I mean, they have Derrick Henry is still a superstar running back, and Mark Ingram in 2019 wasn't a superstar like Derrick Henry is still now. I think this is a huge signing for the Ravens. He's going to produce so much, and for only $8 million a year is insane for them.
Yeah, I would have to agree. But now looking at other running backs here that got signed, we'll just go over them. Tony Pollard to the Titans. Kind of an interesting thing because I didn't expect the Titans to go out and sign a running back, but Tony Pollard leaves Dallas and goes to Tennessee on a 3-year, $24 million deal. Austin Eckler, who runs at a speed of 1 mile an hour, is going to the Washington Commanders for a 2-year, $11 million deal, so a little bit of a discount for a former good running back. DeAndre Swift now to the Bears. As we have a Bears fan, you like that one?
I like it a little bit. It'll be interesting, Definitely an upgrade from Khalil Herbert. It'll shake things up a little bit.
And that is a 3-year, $24 million deal. Devin Singletary now to the Giants. Gus Edwards, as Jaden said, going to the Chargers. A.J. Dillon still available. J.K. Dobbins still available. And that's really the big names that's still left. Zach Moss going to the Bengals to be the starters. They did cut Joe Mixon. He's also available as well. I forgot about him. Antonio Gibson leaves the Commanders and goes to the Patriots on a 3-year, $11 million deal. And that's about it for running backs. Going now to receiver, T. Higgins gets the franchise tag by Cincinnati. Michael Pittman re-signs with the Colts for a 3-year, $70 million deal. Colts have not made a move except one outside of free agency, but have brought back almost every contributor on that team last year besides Moss and Minshew, so the Colts running it back.
Shout out Dowd.
Yep, and Mike Evans re-signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2 years, $41 million. So a big contract extension there for Mike Evans. But let's get to the signings, the interesting ones. Darnell Mooney signing with the Atlanta Falcons, 3 years, $39 million. And Darnell Mooney is going to really take off the top on that Falcons defense because Drake London is a guy who's kind of like intermediate, kind of like 10 to 20-yard range. Darnell Moody's fast, and he can go long, so he'll help them. Gabe Davis went to the Jacksonville Jaguars in a 3-year, $39 million deal. And I'm going to talk about this for a second. Gabe Davis now to the Jaguars doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't move the needle for me.
It doesn't move the needle to me because Gabe Davis, I don't think I've ever seen him make a catch where it's like 10 yards. It's either he's catching an 80-yard touchdown or he's not making catches.
Yeah.
Or he's dropping it.
Or dropping it. I mean, he is a deep threat, and that's about it.
I mean, at that point, I would have just gave all that money back to Calvin Ridley.
And obviously, Gabe Davis is, 24 to Calvin Ridley's 29.
Yeah.
But I think 3 years of Calvin Ridley is better than 6 years of
Gabe Davis.
Gabe
yeah.
Davis. Gabe Davis has been overrated for the past few years because he had one crazy game versus Kansas City. Doing what? Catching wide open touchdowns 40 yards down the field.
Hey, he did break that one safety's ankles, though. That
did,
route
he
was
did, he did.
nasty.
Well, that route was nasty, but has he done that route since? No. And that was 4 years ago. But 3 years ago. But, yeah, he signs there, obviously.
I think Jackson really
Jacksonville just likes spending money in free agency and being dumb.
I think
That
Jackson,
franchise is just a dumpster. Like really. You have Trevor Lawrence, you have the Golden Boy, and what do? You go out and sign Gabe Davis with all your money.
I think Jackson is pretty. I think he really likes this Gabe Davis signing.
No, it just doesn't
I
make
think
sense.
he really likes the Jags.
I think he really likes the Jaguars.
Well,
Do you want me to get you a Trevor Lawrence jersey?
God, dude, might as well just give me a Josh Dobbs jersey. But I mean, I don't know. I like the Jaguars because I like Trevor Lawrence. I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan, and I just don't like to see how they're handling things.
Yeah. I do. 'Cause I'm
Because-
a Colts fan.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's great. It's funny they went out and signed Gabe Davis, and I can't wait for him to have no catches whenever he
Yeah.
plays the Colts.
Hey, they
but
can still draft one though. Draft a wide receiver.
they're going to draft something dumb. The Jaguars are a dumpster. That's about it. But other free agents that are available: Odell Beckham Jr. has yet to be signed. Tyler Boyd. Two big names: Calvin Ridley, Marquise Brown. Two big names that are available that haven't been signed yet. Obviously, Michael Thomas is available, even though he's injured pretty often. Any other names that kind of popping out of you guys that are available or no?
Paris Campbell, absolute speed demon whenever he's healthy.
Chase Claypool is available and will stay available throughout free agency.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else really besides those main three.
There's a
Marquise
few,
Brown,
and
Calvin Ridley.
And obviously Deontay Johnson getting traded to the Panthers, as we've been over earlier. But looking at tight ends, nothing really too crazy, kind of a few re-signs. Hunter Henry stays with the Patriots on a 3-year, $27 million deal. Dalton Schultz stays with the Texans, 3 years, $36 million. Noah Fant staying in Seattle. Really nothing too crazy. Kind of the signings, maybe Austin Hooper to the Patriots is the biggest. Mike Gesicki to the Bengals to be their backup tight end. Maybe he can gritty with Jay Jettas. Sure.
Gritty.
Irv Smith Jr. to the Chiefs is something that's a 1-year, $1.3 million deal that kind of, I'm not going to talk about it for long, but that intrigues me a little bit because
Irv
Irv
Smith's
Smith is fast.
Yeah, he's pretty fast.
And the Chiefs are the Chiefs. They have Mahomes. So Irv Smith in that offense could be dangerous. Keep an eye on that next season. But now moving along now to offensive line, and we'll start with the offensive tackle. Not too many have been signed yet. There's a lot of names on this list and a lot of names that haven't been signed. The only person that's really a big one is Mike Onwenu. Yep, that name. 3 years, $57 million, staying with the Patriots. Big contract, but he is one of the best offensive linemen in the league. Nothing really else that's really moving
Not
for
a
me.
tackle.
Not a tackle. Going now center, where some things have happened. Lloyd Crushberry signed with the Titans on a 4-year, $50 million deal. Don't know who that is. What team did he play for before? I've never heard that name in my life. I just read that.
Broncos.
That sounds about right. Crushberry? I feel like I've heard the name before.
Never. But yeah, Aaron Brewer signed with the Miami Dolphins. Never heard that name before in my life. Never.
Not gonna lie, centers are kind of irrelevant.
You don't know me center's name. You know the top three. That's about it.
I know
Jason
I know who the
Kelce,
best
Creed,
center in the league
Humphrey.
is.
And then my own team
Ryan
center,
Kelly,
and
but
that's about it.
I know Tyler Linderbaum. Just because I don't know why. I just
Curtis
do.
knows Linderbaum.
I know him. His name's funny.
His name is fun. It's funny than
Hey, we got some interesting center names: Lloyd Cushenberry III and
Lloyd Cushenberry the third.
and then Linderbaum. You know what? Maybe we should pay more attention to this center.
Yeah, centers are underrated.
Maybe so. Moving along now to guard, where some signings have been happening. Kevin Dotson does re-sign with the Rams on a 3-year, $48 million deal. Robert Hunt, the GOAT, has signed a 5-year, $100 million contract with the Carolina Panthers. Carolina Panthers doing Panthers things.
Overpaying decent players.
Decent players. I mean,
signing
who?
Mason Rudolph to the Titans.
Oh my God. Just come on. Kevin Zittler has yet to be signed. Dalton Rensselaer has yet to be signed as well. Really, I would say the two best guards. Isaiah Wynn, another name that kind of pops around, who's decent, has yet to be signed. So not too many stuff going on too crazy. Jonah Jackson signed with the Rams on a 3-year, $51 million deal. John Runyon signed with the Giants, 3 years, $30 million. Damian Lewis signed with the Panthers. Dang, the Panthers signed 2 guards? What?
Trying to rebuild.
Yeah, let's go spend all our money on the guard position and not free agency.
Hey,
The Panthers need to burn
Bryce
down.
Young did get absolutely no protection, so this actually makes sense. Is it a lot of money that they're paying?
Yeah, but
these
why are you
linemen?
paying
Yes.
guards? Go play tackles. The tackle is more important than
I
guard.
think their right tackle is actually pretty good.
Yeah, he's solid, but their left tackle
I
is
think
pretty
their left
ass.
tackle sucks.
Yeah, the weak side tackle, the
The
one that
weak side
probably
tackle.
is probably the most important player on the line.
It's the Panthers. But now moving along to the interior defensive line. Obviously, we're going to start with the best D tackle in football. Chris Jones re-signing a huge contract with the Chiefs. 5 years, $158 million. Leonard Williams re-signs with the Seahawks on a 3-year, $64 million deal. Looking at it, Grover Stewart stays with the Colts on a 3-year, $39 million deal. Fletcher Cox retired, so
R.I.P.
F's in the chat. DJ Reader's still a free agent.
Christian Wilkins was a big signing too. 4 years, 110. But
Yeah.
to a team that very needed a defensive lineman a lot, but he's not really joining a great
Raiders-
situation for his prime.
Raiders spending money, but Wilkins was really good last season. So.
Yeah, he was.
And Justin Makabuke re-signed with the Baltimore Ravens on a 4-year, $98 million deal. Did I announce that right?
I
Probably not.
think it's Metabuke.
Maybe.
Matabuike.
I think it's Metabuke.
Matabuike.
I've heard it before.
Matabuike.
But
He's good. I just
he's very
his
good.
last name just
Shout out to Metabuke. If that's how you say your name.
Ravens legend. But moving along now to edge defenders. Josh Allen got franchise tagged by the
Better Josh
by
Allen.
the Jags. Obviously the end. Brian Birds gets traded to the New York Giants and then signs a massive deal. DeLeo Hunter signs a 2-year, $49 million deal with the Texans. Man, the Texans D-line next year is going to be scary.
Yeah.
I have to pray for Anthony Richardson.
Oh, my. Thankfully, he's faster than them all. What's he going to do, just outrun them?
I hope so.
Now, Bryce Huff signed with the Eagles on a 3-year, $51 million deal. Chase Young is yet to be signed. Jonathan Greenyard signs with the Vikings on a 4-year, $76 million deal.
Daniel Hunter and Greener just basically swapped.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, basically. Andrew Van Ginkel signs with the Vikings.
Ginkle.
Leonard Floyd signs with the Niners. Zadarius Smith goes to the Browns on a re-extension. Who's other names here that's kind of crazy?
AJ Espinosa to the Bills re-sign.
pretty big.
That's a very good deal for them. That's a player who's very impactful.
Yannick
for them.
Ngakoue, I'm joking.
Yannick Ngakoue.
Hey,
I don't know if he's gonna ever get picked up. Probably he's gonna get picked up in probably week 8.
Hey,
of
don't
next
sleep
season.
on Tyquan Lewis going back to the Colts.
All right.
Sorry, I fell asleep. Looking at linebacker. Patrick Queen signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers on a
Traitor.
3-year, $41 million deal. And this was pretty crazy. I didn't think he'd
He's a
leave.
traitor
Him going in division is insane.
to the rival.
To the rival, I mean, that's just a crazy thing. Levante
Yeah.
David staying in Tampa Bay, a 1-year deal. Jordan Brooks, the former Seahawk, goes to the Dolphins on a 3-year, $26 million deal. Frankie Levu signs with the Commanders on a 3-year deal. What other names here? Willie Gay going to the Saints on a 1-year deal.
Drew
Aziz
Tranquill.
Al-Shaair is a good signing for the Texans. I mean, earlier the very first day of free agency, everyone was like, "What are the Texans doing with their defense?" Because they were letting all these people walk, and then they pick up Al-Shaair, Daniel Hunter. They got I think they got a linebacker as well that I'm forgetting about.
Who, the Texans?
Yeah. Or wait, no, Al-Shaair is the linebacker.
Yeah, he's the linebacker.
And then they have Will Anderson to pair along with
I mean, their
Daniel
defense is
Hunter.
going to be scary, especially with their coach.
Oh yeah,
I mean, whew.
and their secondary is already good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, at first we were just like, what are they doing? Now they have now it kind of shows what they're doing.
Makes sense now.
Look out for Shaquille Leonard. He's gonna sign somewhere. I don't know where, but he might be
XFL?
CFL. I'm just
CFL?
joking. I would never disrespect Shaquille Leonard. Shout out Shaquille Leonard. You are the
Oh.
greatest.
He's a great man. I love Shaq Leonard. He was my favorite player for a long time. But
Yeah.
on the football field, he's not it anymore. Moving along now to cornerback, Jalen Johnson re-signed with the Bears 4 years, $76 million. Ladarius Sneed did get franchise tagged, but he will be traded. Since they did re-sign Chris Jones, they don't have enough money. So where do you guys think Ladarius Sneed is going to end up here after being traded and signed somewhere else?
All
I
bias
think-
aside,
No, I think I don't even think this is biased for you guys. I think from a Bears fan, I think it's the Colts is probably the best. They're probably the best fit.
I
for him.
think he ends up in Indianapolis too. Everything I've looked at, the Colts have money and they need that position, and will like the few of the other teams that are looking at him, like the Titans and all. The Colts have a chance to be a playoff contender next year,
yeah.
and I don't know why Snead wouldn't go to a franchise that's not going to do that. So I could see him going to the Colts, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up in Tennessee. I think he ends up in the AFC South though.
Yeah, I think it's between Tennessee and the Colts. I think it's just a bidding war at this point.
Just who will give up the most. Kenny Moore resigns with the Colts on a 3-year, $30 million deal, most ever by a nickel cornerback, by the way.
Shout out.
Stephon Gilmore is still free agent. The Titans did sign Chiloble Awuzie to a 3-year deal.
That's good for them.
Sean Murphy-Benting signed with the Cardinals on a 3-year, $25 million deal. What's other big names here?
Ronald Darby to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Keshaun Nixon's a good
Jags doing Jags
for the
things.
Packers.
Dante Jackson obviously got traded to the Steelers in that trade for the receiver.
Jeff Okudah to the Houston Texans, former top pick.
Second overall pick.
How many teams did he play for now?
3.
He was drafted to the Lions.
Traded
He
to
got
the Falcons.
traded to the Falcons, and now he signed with the
That's
Texans.
3. Wow. Now moving along to safety, and this free agency safety class is so big. It's huge.
It's crazy.
And it still has a lot of players still available. Moving along now to Antoine Winfield. He did get franchise tagged by the Buccaneers, probably the best safety available. Kyle Duggar did get franchised by the Patriots. But looking at players who signed, Xavier McKinney signed with the Green Bay Packers, 4 years, $68 million. A lot of money for a safety who's never been a Pro Bowler. But McKinney going to the Packers, how do you guys think about that?
I know a lot of people might say it's an overpay, which I agree it is, but this is a position that was like probably the most important position for the Green Bay Packers defense. Their secondary was awful last year, especially with the absence of Jair Alexander for part of the season. I think this is a very good signing for them. It's just the money is a lot, but I think it'll pan out. You'll have this guy for his prime. It's a good season. Or it's a good signing. So.
Yeah, I think it's a good signing. Obviously, it might be a little bit of an overpay, but you want to overpay for someone as young as he is. And then you're also forming one of the better safety duos with him and I just forgot his name. Who's the other safety that they have? Bears fan, what's his name?
Bears fan, tell
Bears
us.
fan, tell us.
I don't know. I know it was Darnell Savage, but
Darnell Savage did leave. Never
he's
mind.
not with them anymore.
So never mind.
He's with the Jags
It's
now.
just Antoine Winfield now. They don't have
Of course he is.
It's just Xavier McKinney now.
If you're washed, go to the Jags.
That is true. If you are washed, go to the Jags. Just how it goes. But Xavier McKinney will do great things for that secondary, which needs help.
Still a lot of money, though.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Now, moving along now, Geno Stone signed with the Cincinnati Bengals on a 2-year, $15 million deal, the former Ravens player.
Trader.
Julian Blackmon has yet to sign anywhere. Jordan Fuller, another name who has been a good safety for the past few years. Jordan Whitehead signed with the Buccaneers on a 2-year deal. C.J. Gardner-Johnson said nah to the Lions, went back to the Eagles on a 3-year, $33 million deal. So that's a little bit interesting. So he was with the Eagles. They go to the Super Bowl. They lose. He talks all trash about Philadelphia, goes to Detroit, gets hurt, barely plays. When he does play, he doesn't play that good. And then goes back now to the Eagles on a max $33 million deal.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yes, so. Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Sure. Darnell Savage going to the Jags. That's funny. Jeremy Chin signing with the Commanders.
I wanted Jeremy Chin.
Yeah, Jeremy Chin's pretty solid safety. A 1-year deal. Taylor Rapp re-signed with the Bills. Legend. Kevin Byard signed with the Bears. As a Bears fan, thoughts on that? Kind of was bad last year for the Eagles.
He was, yeah. I think he just needs a fresh, reset, fresh little offseason. I think you plug any safety into the Bears defense, they play, at least decent. It's not the best signing, but we also got him for kind of dirt cheap. So
yeah, 2 years, 15.
It's not anything crazy. There's nothing to lose with this signing. I like it.
So let me ask you this: who'd you rather have, Kevin Byard or Eddie Jackson?
It's just it's just decent past their prime versus decent past their prime.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Jackson's more of a ball hawk than Kevin Byard, but I think Kevin Byard is probably the better overall safety. I think Kevin Byard's prime was better than Eddie Jackson's prime. As a Bears
Eddie
fan,
Jackson's
I don't know
prime
though.
was
Eddie
pretty
Price,
good.
yeah.
2018, Eddie Jackson was.
2018 Eddie.
How many picks do you have that 1 year?
I think
9?
Yeah.
Something like
7
that,
or
a lot.
something like that. He had a few touchdowns too,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It's in my eyes, it's almost the same player.
Apples to apples.
Yeah.
Apples. But yeah, I mean, you look at it, and a lot of safety still available. Obviously, what's the former Broncos safety who's not on this list? Justin Simmons is still available. A few other names that people might look at. Obviously, Eddie Jackson. John Johnson III, Sam Franklin Jr., Javon Curse from the Cowboys, Micah Hyde, another Bills legend. So there's a lot of free safeties available and free agency left. But that's about it. We're going to talk now, moving along, I should say, to who are our favorite signings. So obviously you look at it. Everyone here is going to pick one signing that they really like. And I'm going to let Jalen go ahead and go first.
So my favorite signing so far, you know what? I really do like the Saquon to Philadelphia signing. I think it's something about Philadelphia and the run game. For like the past 20 years, they've had a dominant running back.
Yeah,
at least maybe not dominant, but at least like Pro Bowl running back. It seems like, and now that trend continues with Saquon Barkley, who is one of, if not top 5 running back in the league when healthy, top 3 maybe even you can make the argument. Him, Jalen Hurts in that offensive line, along with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and I can't think of the coach's name. Can't think of the coach's name right now. But that offense will be elite next season. I will be surprised if they're not the number 1 rated offense next season.
I couldn't be surprised.
My favorite pick, and I just think Philadelphia is rocking this free agency period. I'm going to go with Bryce Huff to Philadelphia, the edge from the New York Jets. This is a guy who's young. It's 3-year, $51, which is a lot of money. But his impact on that Jets defense was huge, especially with so many injuries that Jets defense had to go through. He was the guy who really stepped up, showed that he's ready for that, next level contract, which he got. I think he's going to be a perfect complement to, Nolan Smith. Brandon Graham just got re-signed there to the Eagles. I think this is a perfect pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, and it definitely improves the Eagles' resume this free agency and moving forward.
Yeah, and finally, my favorite signing, I'm going to have to go with the obvious one, Kirk Cousins of the Falcons. Obviously, Cousins goes. I think he takes the Falcons from being a team that's fighting to win the worst division in football to probably a top 4 NFC team. I really like the Falcons next year. I think Bijan Robinson's going to go crazy. I think Kyle Pickett's stock has never been higher after this signing. One thing Kirk Cousins like to do is go to his tight end, and he's going to do that. So Kirk Cousins is my most favorite, I should say, signing of them all. But who do you guys think? You have to pick one winner and one loser of free agency. I'm going to let Aidan, you go first.
My winner, it's obvious, like we just said. I think it's the Eagles signing Saquon, signing Bryce Huff, signing back Brandon Graham. They're really bolstering this defense. Not even this defense, just any hole that they had. I know it's the Eagles. Their roster is probably the most stacked in the league. They don't really have too many holes, but the holes that they do have, they're filling them. And, they're going out with these blockbuster signings with Saquon, who's, going to make these going to make the offense levels better than it was this year, or this past year with DeAndre Swift. My loser for this free agency period or whatever, it's probably going to be the Panthers.
Panthers Nation.
I know they did trade. They traded Brian Burns. I know they traded for Deontay Johnson, but signing a good, decent guard, I don't know if he's elite yet.
2 of them.
But Robert Hunt, for 5 years, $100 million. I looked at that. I was like, what? $20 million a year for a guard is insane. I don't know. They're doing a lot, but I don't really think it's really leading them in the right direction. I think the most they're going to do is probably pass the draft. I know they don't have their first overall pick because of Chicago, but they do have a lot of picks in those 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds. I think that's where they're going to make their most noise this offseason. And then, obviously, they're going to continue to pick up some more free agents after the draft. But so far, I'm really not intrigued by what the Panthers are doing and where they're spending their money.
Yeah, I'm going to say my winner is going to have to be the Green Bay Packers. Even though they've made some moves that are a little interesting, kind of like this Josh Jacobs deal, I still think it improves their team from last season. And I think Jacobs is a better running back than Aaron Jones. And I think another year of Jordan Love. Obviously, you go out and then you look at the defense, Xavier McKinney, who is a good safety. I mean, he's a good player. Obviously, a lot of money for a safety, but, their secondary is what they lacked most, as we saw in the playoffs. And, McKinney comes in, and even though he wasn't a Pro Bowler, was still a really good safety for the Giants last season. And my loser has to be the Dallas Cowboys. They're a team that, they haven't done nothing. And they've lost players at a lot of positions. Tony Pollard's out. I don't know who is going to be the running back next season. Zeke's gone.
It's going to be that
Tony Pollard's
Rico Dowdle, I think is his name, is number
what
1.
What about that little guy, little 5?
Deuce Vaughn.
Deuce Vaughn is going to be their running back, but they just haven't done anything. Obviously, they don't have too much cap room, and obviously Dak is due an extension soon, so I could see that being a reason why they're not spending any money. But, man, there's just a lot of players available that would probably go to the Cowboys if they just offered even a cheaper deal than some other teams. Yeah. So I would say the Cowboys are my losers.
For me, my biggest winner right now is the Houston Texans. They've done a lot of great things. Bringing back Dalton Schultz was a big thing for them. Bringing back Kyami Fairbairn, one of the most efficient kickers last season. And then Desmond King, bringing him back. Signing Jeff Okudah, Danico Autry. Also, very underrated signing, Tommy Townsend, the punter from the Chiefs, is a very good signing for them. He was one of the better punters in the league. And also acquiring Joe Mixon. They also acquired Joe Mixon.
This dude just mentioned a punter.
What's wrong with the punter?
Hey, wait, who signed Joe Mixon?
The Texans.
The Texans.
They signed him?
They traded for him. Yeah.
I thought he was released.
They traded a 7th for him.
Oh. I just talked about earlier that he was a free agent. No one said nothing.
I thought you meant.
I did not know he was traded to the Texans.
I didn't realize
wow,
you said
that's
that.
crazy.
He's traded to the Texans.
Yeah.
So, them acquiring Joe Mixon is very huge, especially since they lost their other starting running back to free agency. Joe Mixon will come in and be elite for them, especially with a good offensive line and C.J. Stroud. My loser, I have to hail on the Titans. It's the Tennessee Titans. I just don't think that they've done enough to move the needle to where they want to be.
You don't like the Tony Pollard sign?
I don't like Tony Pollard sign. That Tony Pollard sign doesn't make sense to me.
It was dirt cheap.
It doesn't. It is pretty cheap, but Tony Pollard didn't play that good last year.
They basically already have. I can't remember their backup running back's name right now, but he's basically the same thing that Tony Pollard is.
Yeah, Spears.
He's the same thing that Tony Pollard is on a rookie contract. Yeah. So I don't understand why you bring in Tony Pollard and not maybe like a. Because
why not have one Tony Pollard when you have 2?
Hey, I have some actually. This might actually change your answer. Calvin Ridley to the Titans.
It doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change anything. I hate it as a Colts fan. I hate it, but because
Calvin Ridley is staying in the AFC South, and he will be playing for the Tennessee Titans.
As a Colts fan, I hate it, but as a Titan, knowing the
Titans, 4-year, $92 million.
What losers?
Oh yeah,
Titans are losers.
They're even bigger than I thought. Yeah, how old is he?
29.
Oh yeah, they're even bigger losers.
They're gonna be paying him
He's in the back end of his prime.
$30 million.
I don't even know if he's in his prime because he missed a year.
So they're gonna have him and Hopkins, two old receivers past their prime.
I mean, 29's not old.
Well, he will be past his prime by 4 years.
Oh yeah,
he'll be 30 this season.
33. Yeah,
he'll be like 33, 34. Yeah, Titans are even bigger losers than they were before. Titans, you suck. Your whole organization sucks. I hate your coach.
Wait, breaking news: Kadarius Toney to McDonald's.
I hate everything about the Titans. I hate your organization. I hate your fans.
Kadarius Toney signed a contract with Subway. That's actually kind of crazy. 4-year, 92. That's a lot of money.
That's a crazy deal. But now moving along to the final segment of the day, start bench cuts. You've heard it before, if you've seen it on TikTok or if you've seen it on the pod. It's something we do now at the end of every show. And, we're going to be doing an NFL version of that. Start bench cut. Let's start it with NFL version. Let's get right into it. Quarterback edition. Start bench cut. Josh Allen. Let me think here.
You didn't have this pre-planned?
No. All right. I'm gonna do this. Not quarterback edition, because. Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna do running back edition of running backs that were signed in free agency to keep the theme. Start, bench, cut. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs, and Saquon Barkley.
Ooh. Going forward.
Starting right now, not like prime.
Starting Saquon.
Okay.
Benching Josh Jacobs, cutting Derrick Henry.
I'm starting Josh Jacobs, benching Saquon, cutting Derrick Henry.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be a little different. Okay, there's only
You're
one.
Always different. You're always different.
There's only one player that's carried a team to the AFC Championship game out of these 3. Did they win? No, but he got them there. A man who has thrown more postseason touchdowns than the quarterback that he's playing for. Derrick Henry, I would say start Derrick Henry, bench Saquon Barkley. Actually, no, bench Josh Jacobs, cut Saquon Barkley.
Honestly, I think Ryan Tannehill carried them to the AFC Championship.
Okay, moving along. Now start, bench, cut free agent receivers who are now re-signed. T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr., and Mike Evans.
I'm going to start Mike Evans. I think he's the clear number one.
And this is going forward, not prime.
This is going forward. Okay, I'm gonna start No. Start Mike Evans, bench T. Higgins, cut Michael Pittman
That's
Jr.
crazy.
Oh, Jalen, go ahead.
Me personally, starting Mike Evans. That's
Okay,
that's
I was about to
obvious.
say if you
That's
said
obvious. No. Start Mike Evans, bench Michael Pittman, cut T. Higgins. I don't think T. Higgins is better than Michael Pittman at anything.
anything,
All right, well, I'm going to be a little different, okay? So,
Maybe speed wise, maybe he might be faster. That's about it though.
I think he's
no. I think he's a grade below Pittman. I think Pittman and Higgins are kind of...
faster than Pittman.
He might be faster than Pittman, but I don't think he catches better than Pittman.
All right, so going forward,
I think he's a bigger, more dominant wide receiver than.
No.
Are you serious?
No.
We're talking about the guy who caught the ball at the one, had a guy fall on him.
my
He turned
God.
around
Oh
and
my
reached for the
God.
pylon, caught a touchdown.
Have you
I've never seen
seen,
Michael
like-
Pittman Jr.
have you...
And I know
what do you-
Michael Pittman Jr. caught
I've
a.
seen Michael Pittman's helmet coming off.
Yeah,
and he
I
caught
know.
the ball.
That was a great catch, but I'm taking the T. Higgins catch over that any day of the week.
Over 2 people?
What about
Yes, that was
whenever
for a touchdown. That's for to take a
Because he has
lead.
7 foot long
Okay,
arms.
what about whenever Pittman caught it in the rain versus the Niners?
Niners over somebody
For a
Monster
touchdown.
Over somebody.
Or how about
For a
when he caught it in double coverage versus the Ravens for a touchdown?
You act like T. Higgins hasn't done this stuff before. T. Higgins is a more dominant wide receiver in the air. He's bigger, he's longer, he's faster.
All right, I'm just going to get mine out of the way.
I'd say Michael Pittman Jr. is a better route runner.
Start Michael Pittman Jr.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're not starting Michael Pittman Jr. over Mike Evans.
Let me
He said
talk.
going forward.
Let me talk. Going forward, Mike Evans is 30.
Yeah, he's also the guy who's had a 1,000-yard receiving season 10 seasons in a row.
Going forward, I'm not talking
consistent.
about 10 years ago.
He's still consistent. He's doing this with Baker Mayfield as his quarterback.
Yeah, and what's his name? Pittman had better stats and had Gardner Minshew as his quarterback.
I'd take Gardner Minshew over Baker Mayfield.
What?
No,
What?
no,
What?
No,
What?
no, shut up. Aiden, no. Aiden,
Yes.
No. What? No. Baker
He's
Mayfield's-
off hinged.
Baker Mayfield's miles better than Gardner.
Okay,
Minshew's
maybe
ever
he's
been.
better, but Mike Evans is a more consistent wide receiver than Michael
Well,
Pittman.
yeah, because he's older. I mean, if
Michael Pittman Jr. still spent 3 years in the league.
okay, if
It's
we're,
not like he
if we're
doesn't have
going off
experience.
consistency and we're going off career, then Derrick Henry should have been a start for you guys in the other one.
Yeah, but that wasn't going forward.
Yes, it
You said
was.
start
He
right
said,
now.
No, he said going forward.
No,
Well,
Start right now, meaning these receivers start right now. Who do you want? Starting right now.
Mike
You have to-
Evans.
Okay, well, I'm going to do mine now.
Are you guys serious?
Yes, we're serious. He's 30. Receivers
I
don't
didn't say
produce
start Mike- I
past
said
that.
start Mike Evans.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good pick. No one.
I like Mike Evans. He's very good. He's a future Hall of Famer. First ballot Hall of Famer, probably. But I am saying going forward, I don't see Mike Evans for the next 4 years having 1,000 yards till he's 34. I just don't see it. 34 as a receiver, especially a Mike Evans receiver that is not off speed, is kind of, I mean, obviously those bigger receivers
That makes
last
sense.
longer.
If he's not off
Yeah,
speed, then that makes sense.
That does make sense. But I'm just saying Michael Pittman Jr. is younger and the same build as Mike Evans. He's younger and
No, he's
ultimately
not.
he's
Mike Evans is lengthier and faster.
okay. Well, I'm going to do mine. This is
Okay,
based off
I guess,
my
okay,
opinion.
I guess that's your opinion. I respect that.
Start, bench, cut. I'm going to say start Michael Pittman Jr., bench Mike Evans, cut T. Higgins. Going forward, and well, I could easily just say bench Mike Evans if we're really going forward because this is going forward. Mike Evans is 30 something. What is he, 31 or is he 30?
I think he's 30.
30?
He might be 31.
31. Old. How old's Michael Pittman Jr.? 25. How old's T. Higgins?
If
24.
Mike
26?
Evans is not, age doesn't really the way that Mike Evans plays, it doesn't affect his
Okay, but name me
age. Doesn't affect. He's not injury prone. He hasn't gotten injured.
I mean,
since a
I would
little-
agree with that type of build. Age can affect it less. But name me a receiver that has the build of a Mike Evans, a Michael Pittman Jr., and a T. Higgins that has played well into his 30s in recent memory.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams is not in the same build as. I mean, yeah, but
Yes, he is. He's a route running. He's a
but
wide receiver that depends on his route running. That's
Yeah,
what
but
Mike
I
Evans
would-
is.
Mike Evans is more of a go up and up top,
Get it.
get it
No,
guy.
he's
And
not.
have you ever watched a Tampa Bay Buccaneers
Yes.
game? He's a go up and
He,
get it guy.
he can do that. That's what makes him good. He can do that, but he predominantly.
Devontae Adams isn't. He's a route runner. He's a guy who
But he can still
relies
go
off
up and
rat.
get it. That's what make these wide receivers great. Is they're good at anything.
I mean, technically any receiver could go up and get it, but I'm talking about builds. I wouldn't say Mike Evans and Devontae Adams are in two different builds, I think, just to my eyes. But, like, what other receivers? I mean, what? Andre Johnson, what did he do after he turned 30? Signed with a new team and didn't do nothing. All those guys, after they hit 30, they decline. Alshon Jeffrey, another guy who was like that build, who had a really good young career. The moment he hit 30, he sucked. I mean, there's a lot of instances where these go up and get it receivers who are big and obviously you think would play longer into their careers, just they can't go up and get it
Mike
anymore.
Evans a go up and get a wide receiver. He can go up and get it, but that's not how he plays.
Well, he had to.
He's a 15. He's like a 15 to 20 yard route running wide receiver that you'll find in the middle of the field.
Maybe.
Anyway,
I think
anyway.
moving forward, I think you have an argument to start Michael Pittman over Mike Evans. I'm still taking on my team right now who I want my team to sign a 3-year contract for. I would say I'd want Mike Evans more than Michael Pittman Jr. on a 3-year contract on my team moving forward.
I mean,
It's Mike Evans. You're gonna get production out of him no matter what.
yeah, and I would almost say probably the same with Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. had how many receptions last year? Over 100.
Mm-hmm.
And especially with lackey quarterback play, I mean, Mike Evans had Baker Mayfield and just barely got over 1,000. Michael Pittman Jr. went far over 1,000 and played in less games. So if you're looking at that, and I would say the quarterback play was less and just the drama around it was different. But I don't know. I mean, Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer in my eyes.
Yeah.
He's one of, I would say, probably top 3 best receivers in the 2010 era, or like since he was drafted, since then. So no slouch to Mike Evans, but just going forward, the receivers of his type don't really play too well into their 30s. And even if you want to look at Devontae Adams, he hasn't done much since going to Oakland. He's made plays, not Oakland, Vegas. He's done something, but he's not what he was. And Mike Evans,
Aidan O'Connell throwing
even
the ball.
even though what he is, well, I mean, Gardner Minshew throwing the ball to Pittman.
Gardner Minshew's been a glorified backup for 6, 7 years now. Aidan O'Connell is a rookie that was taken in like the 5th round that hadn't played a snap before
I would
this
say
season.
Aidan McConnell's better than Minshew. And luckily, we're going to see that battle next year.
McConnell's not better than Minshew.
What? Minshew almost took the Colts to the playoffs. Aidan O'Connell got pummeled by the Bears, who started
Steichen
Tyson
almost took-
Bagent.
Gardner Minshew is not even a top.
Minshew clears Aidan O'Connell.
It's not even close. But is that even a question?
Well, I mean, I would say skill right now, it's Minshew. But I don't know. I just think McConnell could be something decent. I don't know. I just kind of have a little bit of potential, I think, I see in McConnell. But right now, yeah, Minshew's obviously more proven and better than McConnell. But, yeah, kind of a little tangent there. You got a little rant by Aidan on his love for Mike Evans.
It's not even love. It's just common sense.
Yeah. To you, it's an opinion, though.
That's true.
Like, my opinion is different than yours. And I think, to me, it's common sense. But to y'all, it's not. So, it's all it is. We're all sports talkers, and all we do is just give our opinions every day.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, like any conversation necessarily when it comes to comparing a player to a player is strictly opinion-based at all times. Unless the stats completely prove that. But the eye test and stats kind of go eye and eye. So it's hard to compare players without opinions in it. But I think that's all we got for today. It's been a fun one, episode 17. Obviously, we didn't talk about NBA this week since free agency is going on. And probably next week we'll wrap up free agency even more in the NFL. But we are going to talk about NBA next week, so make sure to stay on the lookout for that. NBA is still happening, just didn't happen this week. But as always, it's been fun. Thanks for joining us. Free Agency Special, episode 17 in the books. Episode 18 coming out next Thursday. Stay on the lookout for that. And as always, until next time.
See you.
Yes, sir.